France has always preferred to do things its own way, refusing to blindly follow trends or copy the playbooks of its allies, and nowhere is this independent mindset more visible than in its military. Because while many modern armies aim for standardization and predictability, the French armed forces thrive on doing the unexpected, often appearing unconventional or even confusing on paper, yet in practice emerging as one of the most effective and formidable forces not only in Europe but across the world, and this effectiveness largely comes from France's deliberate refusal to fully conform to NATO norms, choosing instead to prioritize national doctrine, domestic production, and operational flexibility, a philosophy that becomes immediately clear when examining one of the strangest yet most successful units in modern military history, the French Foreign Legion, an elite force made up almost entirely of foreign volunteers representing around 140 nationalities, drawing highly trained and motivated soldiers from Europe, Africa, Asia, and beyond, all willing to fight and die for a country they were not born in, making the Legion unique not just in structure but also in reputation, as it has consistently been among the first French units deployed to complex and politically sensitive conflict zones such as Chad, Mali, Afghanistan, and the Ivory Coast, allowing Paris to act decisively in situations where deniability, speed, and professionalism matter most, while this outward-looking reliance on foreign manpower sharply contrasts with another defining feature of French military doctrine, its intense focus on domestic development and self-reliance. Because unlike many major military powers that mix locally produced equipment with imported systems, France makes a conscious effort to field hardware that is overwhelmingly designed and built at home, even when that means ignoring what allies are doing, or investing in platforms others have long abandoned, a mindset perfectly illustrated by the EBRC Jaguar, a six-wheeled armored reconnaissance vehicle developed over more than a decade by KNDS France, Arquus, and Thalers, entering service in 2022 as part of the Scorpion modernization program. And while many countries phased out medium armored reconnaissance vehicles years ago, France doubled down, planning to field 300 Jaguars by 2035 at a cost of roughly €6 million each, assigning them critical roles in reconnaissance and screening missions where speed, intelligence gathering, and rapid engagement are decisive, missions that require vehicles capable of moving faster and farther than tanks while still delivering meaningful firepower, which is why the Jaguar is powered by a 500 horsepower Volvo D11 engine, allowing it to reach speeds of around 90 kilometers per hour and operate over ranges of up to 800 kilometers, significantly exceeding that of most main battle tanks. And although its wheeled design sacrifices some off-road performance compared to tracked vehicles, French commanders accept this trade-off in exchange for strategic mobility, equipping the Jaguar with a 40mm case telescoped cannon, Acheron MP anti-tank missiles, remote weapon stations, smoke grenade launchers, and NATO standard Stanag 4500 and 69 Level 4 armor, creating a vehicle that sits somewhere between a tank and an infantry fighting vehicle, powerful yet agile, survivable yet fast. And this philosophy of speed over brute force is not theoretical, as France has repeatedly demonstrated its effectiveness in real combat, most famously during the 1991 Gulf War, when Division Deget, operating on the flank of the US 18th Airborne Corps, advanced deep into Iraqi territory, captured the Al Salman Air Base, and destroyed Iraq's 45th Mechanized Infantry Division in just days with minimal losses, largely thanks to France's reliance on fast-wheeled armored vehicles like the VAB, AMX-10RC, and ERC-90, platforms that allowed French forces to outpace both their enemies and even some of their allies, a legacy the Jaguar is designed to inherit as it replaces those older systems. Yet, France's unconventional thinking does not mean blind optimism, as its military planners openly acknowledge the limitations of medium armored vehicles, particularly in drone-heavy environments, like Ukraine, where unmanned aerial systems dominate the battlefield. But France's global operational reality is different, as it remains the second most active NATO military, after the United States conducting frequent operations in Africa and the Middle East, where counterinsurgency, counter-terrorism, and rapid intervention missions demand flexibility and speed, rather than heavy armoured slugfests. Conditions under which France's doctrine has repeatedly proven effective, such as during Operation Serval in Mali, where French forces used rapid maneuver warfare to halt advancing militant groups and stabilize the government by covering vast distances in record time, relying again on mobile reconnaissance vehicles to stay ahead of the enemy, and yet in another twist of French military logic, this emphasis on mobility does not extend to its main battle tanks, because France operates one of the heaviest and most expensive tanks in NATO, the Leclerc, a Cold War-era design introduced in the early 1990s, to replace the AMX-30, with around 860 units built and roughly 400 remaining in French service or storage today, each weighing up to 63 tons and costing nearly €8 million, yet almost entirely domestically produced, making it a rare example of true national industrial independence in armoured warfare. And while the Leclerc is neither the most numerous nor the most widely used tank in the world, it was technologically groundbreaking at its introduction, featuring the world's first fully digital fire control system, advanced thermal imaging, automatic target tracking, and an autoloader that reduced crew size to 3, and although it requires careful maintenance, it has served France reliably, and now forms the basis for the upgraded Leclerc XLR variant featuring improved armour, networking and remote weapon systems, reinforcing France's habit of refining unique platforms rather than replacing them with foreign alternatives, an approach that gives Paris a subtle advantage, because unlike widely used tanks such as the Leopard 2 or M1 Abrams, the Leclerc remains a relatively unknown quantity to potential adversaries, complicating enemy planning and countermeasures. And beyond armoured vehicles, France has also reshaped modern warfare through systems like the Caesar self-propelled howitzer, a truck-mounted 155mm artillery platform that prioritized speed and mobility at a time when other nations focused on heavier tracked guns, enabling rapid deployment, shoot-and-scoot tactics, and long-range precision strikes of up to 40 kilometers or more with advanced ammunition. A system that has proven its value in conflicts from Iraq and Syria to Ukraine, and perhaps the most defining pillar of French military power lies not in vehicles or soldiers but in nuclear doctrine, as France maintains the world's fourth largest nuclear arsenal with roughly 290 warheads under complete national control, refusing to participate in NATO nuclear sharing, and instead following a policy of strict sufficiency, maintaining just enough weapons to guarantee devastating retaliation without committing to no first use, while also reserving the right to conduct nuclear warning shots using tactical weapons to deter escalation, a doctrine that reflects France's broader strategic mindset of independence, decisiveness, and controlled unpredictability. And taken together, from the Foreign Legion to the Jaguar, from the Leclerc to the Caesar, and from rapid African interventions to a uniquely flexible nuclear posture, France's military may appear unconventional and even contradictory, but it is precisely this refusal to conform that makes it so dangerous, adaptable, and effective because, while other nations hesitate, debate, or wait for consensus, France has repeatedly shown that it is willing to act fast, strike hard, and accept risk in defense of its interests, making it one of the most unpredictable and formidable military powers in the modern world.